All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation, YouTube station, Friday night edition here. We got the usual crew. I got my guy Hamwich rocking the polo, fresh off the office. Hopefully he's got some work done today for once. On a Friday, hopefully his work is better than his baseball takes. If it's anything like I heard pre-show, it's going to be an interesting show here. This guy, I can't believe him. But Hamwich, man, how was your week? How was last night? How's everything been, man? Happy Friday, brother.
Yeah, happy Friday, short week. It's always nice. Now it's Friday. It's almost quitting time over here. We're popping energy drinks right now. We're going to be popping winners later. Man, I got some great takes tonight. I hope you're tuning in. We got the double dong home run calls of the day at the end. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to this final weekend. It'll be about 75 degrees, so looking forward to it.
Going to be about 75 degrees, he said. It's a nice little weather here. Going to be in the mid-70s all week. We got a nice little local cheese festival going on with some nice music, some cold beers, all the amusement rides for the kids, for the little nephews, things like that. Hey, maybe Hamwich there. Maybe I'll see G Risen make an appearance to the local festival. I know he's all about that. Anywhere there's couple safety meetings and some cold beers, you might find some G Rise in attendance there. Maybe he hops on that ferry, comes across the lake there, and joins me at the local festival here. But all in good fun. It's a good Friday over here. It was a great night last night in the MLB streets over here. Tons of winners in the Discord. I got close to shipping pretty much every tournament on DraftKings last night. Was a nice sight to see there. The core, it's always a nice night when the core absolutely goes crazy over there. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, not the drafters. We'll talk about drafters in a little bit. Obviously, with NFL coming up, title will hit on that. But these shows are partnered and brought to you by 4 Deep, our guy Tommy G and crew over there with the partnership here. All things betting advice, head over to 4 Deep. Use that promo code SHIP. It gets you 20% off, so we do appreciate that. They continue to print in the betting market over there. So use that promo code, 20% off any membership plan, and you do get a free 1-week trial if you are a SHIPIT Nation subscriber over here. Get a free week, check them out, see what you want, beat the bookies over there in Vegas, and win some extra cheese alongside your DFS product here. Say hi to a couple people in the chat. Gator Nation in here, Pug Den, Warren, everybody. We appreciate you guys. If you guys are watching on playback, definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. Hamwich, we got a loaded slate here tonight. 13 games on tap. A lot of games we can probably cross off here, but any kind of broad slate overview before we jump in and start breaking down the pitching aspect on the slate here.
Yeah, obviously 13-game slate tonight. You're going to see ownership spread out across the board. Maybe on some pitching, you might see some concentrated on a couple guys we're going to talk about. But I kind of like these slates, right? You get 13 games. You don't really have to worry about anybody being too out of control like they were last night when it was a 4-gamer. So I like some offenses that you don't typically care for tonight. Hey, but you're gonna have to find them tonight to get the winners. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna talk about it here, yeah, because you nailed it. I mean, outside of pitching, there's pretty much only a couple pitchers that ownership isn't really condensing around, but are going to be pretty heavily owned. And I think some of the ownership projections on some of these pitchers are pretty light that I'm seeing across the industry. Anytime you have 13 games and no Coors Field on the slate, no Great American Small Park, some of the better hitting environments, no Wrigley Wing Game, things like that, ownership's going to spread out. So I like slates like this because I like to spend up for bats. We've seen a lot of big, high-powered offenses win a lot of slates, including obviously the Yankees last night. And the Yankees really didn't hit outside of one inning, right, where they had a big inning, 5 spot there to get me home last night. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking here tonight. I think there is 2 ways to go. Obviously, you can spend up at pitching. We're going to talk about pitching here in a second. There's a lot of pitchers above 8K that are very viable and in very good matchups. But there's also a couple of pitchers that I have interest in down below. One's going to be kind of contrarian. The other one's definitely going to be a pretty popular SP2 option on this slate. You pair those guys together, you can afford pretty much any bats that you want. And that's kind of the main route that I'm going to take here tonight. Hamwich, with all that said, I'm going to throw it over to you. We're going to go 8K and above. I want to throw out a couple names. This is a big, obviously loaded range. Number one, all the way down at the bottom, Luis Severino against the D-backs, coming in at pretty high ownership. He's just 8K there. Gets a decent matchup against Arizona. They just don't strike out a ton. I'm not sure what that sound effect was over there on Hamwich's side, but hey, who knows? Tanner Beebe there. Lopez, throw him out. And then the two guys, right? Walker Buehler, I want you to hit on him. He did get up to 91 pitches last. Now he faces these Rockies at home. I think his ownership projection to start is coming in a little bit lower owned. I mean, I could see him approaching 40% here tonight. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all, especially in smaller field, single entry contest. Everything's pretty spread out, though, right now. No pitcher really approaching 30%. The main guys, obviously, Walker Buehler up at the top, Severino up at the top, and then Tanner Beebe are kind of the guys that are getting concentrated ownership right now. Dylan Cease might pick up a little bit as well here.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of it. And, let's start with Bibby. I think Bibby's going to be Bibby, whatever you want to call him. I think he's going to be highly owned, and I think I'm going to be a little lower on him than maybe the field. I mean, just looking at this Nationals team, they don't strike out a whole ton. They beat up the Braves pitching last week or this past series. Bibby's interesting. He does miss a lot of right-handed bats. I just looked a minute ago. I haven't seen the confirmed Nationals lineup, but he's going to have a lot of ownership. So I'd be cautious on Bibby. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I thought you might have cut out. I thought I might have cut out. And then, so my favorite of this bunch, is going to be Walker Buehler taking on this Rockies team who we've really picked on all season long, and they just haven't been hitting the baseball over the last 2 weeks. I'll have a 14% swinging strike rate against right-handed pitching. Buehler did get up to 91 pitches, as you alluded to. Hopefully he's rounded into midseason form at this point, coming back from basically 2 seasons gone. I like Walker Buehler a lot in this range. I also want to mention Reynaldo Lopez taking on this A's team. This A's team, they've been better, I guess, but I like Reynaldo Lopez's swing and miss stuff from both sides of the plate. Really like him. And then, my last one, I'll touch on him, Luis Severino. I don't like a chalky Severino. I am seeing almost 24% ownership on DraftKings. But, Severino against this Diamondbacks team. Severino's not going to, strike out a whole ton, but hopefully he can keep it, 6-7 innings, limit the damage, and hopefully get 5 to 7 Ks somewhere in that range. And then, just touch it on Ronel Blanco at 10-1. It's hard for me to believe that he's the highest priced pitcher. I don't think I'm getting there. And then the other two that I would have a little bit of interest in would be Brian Wu taking on the Los Angeles team on the road, and then Dylan Cease, but he's going up into Kansas City, so may limit my ownership on him tonight.
Yeah, no, great breakdown here. We differ a little bit. My favorite pitcher on this upper tier is going to be Tanner Houck, however you pronounce his name there. I get it. It is in Fenway. I know you're going to be on a different side of the fence there, but looking at this roster, I mean, there's some high strikeout bats in there. He's limited hard contact. He's been good at home. I like the Red Sox bats as well, going up against Maeda in Fenway there. So Tanner Houck, I really like a ton at 9,600, but all things considered, my SP1 price matchup, everything is going to be Walker Buehler. He's projected to be right around 25 to 28% right now. I think that's pretty light. Like I said, I think he could approach 30 to 40% ownership here. Not that that's really a deterrent because the matchup is great. These Dodgers pitchers just don't have long leashes anyway. So 91 to 100 pitches roughly, which I mean, he threw 91 pitches his last start. That's pretty much the pitcher's ceiling anyways for all these Dodgers pitchers. And he's 8,700. These Rockies strike out at a 26% rate against right-handed pitching on the road this season here. It's in the Dodgers. Obviously, the Dodgers offense should be rolling tonight against Dakota Hudson here at home. So it should have run support behind him. That might help him go a little bit longer as well. Nonetheless, Walker Buehler, my SP1 on the slate. I really like Tanner Houck as a pivot there. Tanner Beebe there ranks very well in our pitcher rankings over here. I have a lot of interest in him as well. I get the reasoning, right? Lane Thomas is absolutely on fire right now. That is a pretty scary bat And not only that, you got CJ Abrams in there. But realistically, I mean, there's some high strikeout bats in here. Joey Gallo is still projected to be in this lineup. I haven't seen the lineup come out yet. But if he's in there, that's a high strikeout bat. Overall, they're still above league average in terms of strikeout rate against right-handed pitching on the road this season. So don't mind him. A little bit lower on him compared to Tanner Houck and Walker Buehler. And then touching on a couple more guys in this range, Dylan Cease, I think, is interesting. He does have a ceiling here. I just don't like picking on Kansas City when they're at home. Looking at this team at home this season, they're just a way better team. I mean, a 17% strikeout rate and a team ISO over 220, which is pretty scary when you got a pitcher coming in. I get it, right? Dylan Cease has a 33% K rate on the road this season, but he does get barreled a little bit. And when a team doesn't strike out a ton like Kansas City at home and hit for a ton of power in there, just hard for me to pay a premium price tag on him when I like Tanner Houck a lot better. I like BB a lot more than Dylan Cease, and I like Walker Buehler a lot more. So I got 3 guys in this range that are cheaper than Cease. So I'm a little bit lower on Cease. And then I have no interest in Ronel Blanco here. I don't get why he's 10-1 on this slate. He is at home. I get it. But I actually have a little bit more interest in some of these Twins bats than I do in Blanco. So up at the top tier for me, it's Walker Buehler, it's Tanner Houck. Those are my 2 favorite. BB's fine, I think. And then Ronaldo Lopez, he, I think, is starting to regress a little bit. We've seen in his last couple starts here. But if there's a matchup to get right, it is against these Athletics here. They do have a couple scary bats in there, right? Langeliers and Rooker hit right-handed pitching pretty well overall. He should have run support behind him. The rest of this lineup really isn't scary. I mean, there's some bats in there that strike out over 35%, close to 40% on the road this season. So if I had to pick a 4th, he would be my interest. I really have no interest in any of these other guys. Severino, I don't want to pick on these D-backs. I think he could be fine. He's fine at 8K, but I like pitchers cheaper than him. So for me, up in the top tier, it's really realistically three, maybe 4 of these guys. And we're going to break down this lower tier because there's a lot of guys down here, 2 guys in particular that I should say that I have a ton of interest in down here. I'm going to throw it over to you, Hamwich. Going 8K and below, I want to throw out one name in particular. Everybody talking about it. Saw the lock button conversation already happen in the chat here. Jose Soriano has been absolutely incredible so far this season. He's just 7,300 in Seattle in one of the best strikeout matchups and one of the best pitcher sporks on the slate. How in the world do you not play Jose Soriano at 7,300 on a 13-game slate here? Talk to me on him. And then anyone else you have interest in down here, I have a decent amount of interest in Tobias Myers here just due to matchup alone. And he's 6,900, will be significantly lower owned than anyone else down here, or than Soriano for sure down here in this range, that I think he could have a similar ceiling. Talk to me down here below 8K and definitely hit on Soriano here.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk Soriano first because, I mean, the Mariners striking out 30% at home, almost a 15% swinging strike rate against right-handed pitching. So Soriano's going to be popular, right? And a guy like Soriano, to me, when he's going to be, 25, 35%, that's an easy fade for me. You always talk about double leverage. I think if you're playing multiple teams, a Seattle little mini stack is not the terrible thing to get that double leverage off Soriano, who is not a great pitcher by any stretch of the imagination, in my opinion, at least of what I'll look at. So, I mean, Soriano certainly in play strictly based on the matchup and the fact that the Mariners striking out, like I said, 30%, but they have a ton of strikeouts. It's a great pitcher's ballpark. So certainly get all those things. But for me, I would play a little bit of leverage game against that and go from there. Someone asked about Jordan Montgomery. No thank you for me on Jordan Montgomery. I actually have a little bit of interest in some of these Mets we'll talk about. I do have interest in Albert Suarez. I was just looking at him, but I can't get a read on him. He pitched 4 innings last time. He's got his full 5 days rest now. I just don't know how many innings he's going to get. If I knew he was going to get 6 innings, yeah, I think you'd fire him up against the Rays. Soriano. But my 2 favorite down here is going to be Michael Wacha. Michael Wacha's been very good, especially over his last 4 starts, 21 last time out at Tampa, got 7 strikeouts as well. He's been rock solid at $7,100. If he's going to be unowned, I know these Padres are scary on paper, but I think Wacha is certainly in play tonight. And then my other one that I had interest in, Tobias Myers, I like him as well. I'm worried about his innings, but Bailey Falter, really like Bailey Falter tonight, taking on this Toronto Blue Jays team who is going to garner some ownership, but if you're looking at the numbers against left-handed pitching, they just can't hit left-handed pitching, Nades. And I'm going to take my chances that Bailey Falter, not a big strikeout guy, but, looking at what these Blue Jays have done over the last 15 days, two home runs, a .077 ISO. Give me some Bailey Falter tonight. I think he's had back-to-back 18-point DraftKings nights. So, hey, I think he makes it 3 in a row. Give me some Bailey Falter as a cheap SP2 tonight.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. I'm definitely different than you on Soriano. It's hard for me to ignore the price, just like everyone else is seeing on Soriano. And then when you look at this projected lineup for the Mariners, the top 7 hitters all have strikeout rates north of 30%. I mean, and some of them are approaching 40%. I mean, let me just go down the list for you. Mitch Garver, 40% strikeout rate at home this season against right-handed pitching. Then you bump up to J-Rod, 30%, 33% for Canzone, 36% for Raleigh, 35% for Luke Rayleigh, 37% for Dylan Moore, and even J.P. Crawford, your leadoff hitter, 31%. I mean, it's hard for me to ignore. That's chalk I'm worth eating. I'm just going to eat the chalk there in Soriano. I did write it up in the slate plan. I do like the pivot. If you want to pivot off of Soriano, Tobias Myers. But I also think an interesting route here to go tonight, and a route that I'm definitely heavily invested in, is playing Soriano and then playing another cheap guy down here. My favorite would be Tobias Myers. Pairing those two guys together, you can do whatever you want from a bats perspective. I think it is going to be a pretty contrarian build overall in terms of roster. They're both going to get a little bit of ownership. Obviously, Soriano is going to get a ton of ownership on his own, but together as a garnered combo, I don't think they get a lot. I think one of these guys grabs a lot of people grab a pitcher up at the top, right? We talked about a lot of them up at the top. Tanner, both the Tanners, right? Walker Buehler. I think a combination is going to be a Walker Buehler Soriano. Would be worrisome to pair those two guys together in your tournament builds. Cash games, I think that is the cash game approach, is a Soriano and a Walker Buehler. But in tournaments, I would avoid that. So grabbing two of these cheap guys, I think, is a unique roster construction, and just hope the bats win it here. We've seen that happen a lot this season. Pitching overall in years past has been much different than it has been this year, at least from what I'm seeing. In years past, if you didn't have one of the top tier pitchers, right, the Spencer Striders of the world when he was healthy, going out there and throwing between 12 and 15 strikeouts every time and posting 50, 60 DraftKings points, and even more than that, right, approaching 70 sometimes on FanDuel, it was just impossible to win tournaments without him. That hasn't been the case this year. So I'm okay spending down a pitcher, especially when you got two pitchers here that I think are in great matchups. Obviously, the White Sox and Seattle are both great pitchers matchups. So I like both those guys a ton. The other guy I like down here a little bit is Jordan Montgomery. I think he has some positive regression coming. I think he's a better pitcher than what we've seen so far this year. And I'm not really afraid of this Mets team at all, to be honest with you. I mean, there is some bats in there that, right, Francisco Lindor, Martinez, Nemo, some power bats in there. But overall, I mean, I think Montgomery could be a decent pitcher down here. Don't love it, but at a sub 5%, very contrarian option, I think he's a solid option there. Outside of that, I mean, don't want to play Michael Wacha. I would just rather play Tobias Myers for similar ownership at a cheaper price point. I'm definitely not going to play any Bailey Falter. I'll leave that one to you. So for me down here, it's really Tobias Myers there and Soriano are the two guys that I love down here. And then some of the guys up at the top. So it's pretty condensed pitcher pool overall for me on a 13-game slate. And I think I'm going to be a little bit more spread out in terms of bats. Go ahead and rank your pitchers here before we go game by game, Hamwich. Give the people your top 5 here.
Yeah, just looking at Walker Buehler is my number one pitcher on the slate tonight. I would go Reynaldo Lopez 2, Severino 3, Brian Wu would be 4 for me, and then number 5, yeah, I am going to go Bailey Falter. I think Bailey Falter is a great play on DK tonight. Yeah, he'd be my 5th one.
Awesome. All right. Well, all things considered, matchup, price, everything. I'm putting Soriano number 1. It's just hard for me to ignore. You got 7 batters that have a 30% or higher strikeout rate in a pitcher's ballpark on the season. Hard for me to ignore that. And it's not like he's coming in 60+% ownership. I mean, I think he's going to come in probably 30 to 40%, depending on the contest. But in larger field stuff, I mean, ownership always gets spread out, especially on this big a slate. So he's number 1 for me. I will put Tanner Houck, number 2, Walker Buehler, 3 for me. And then I'm going Tanner Beebe, number 4, or Beebe, however you say it. And then my 5th one is going to be down at the bottom. The pivot off of Soriano if you want, but I like him in general. Tobias Myers here at home against this White Sox roster here. Let's jump over and go game by game. First game on the slate here is Tampa Bay and Baltimore here, right? Savali on the mound, Albert Suarez on the mound here. These Orioles, I think, are a pretty interesting stack in general. Anytime you get the Orioles projected overall pretty low ownership when they lead the majors, I still think in home runs, right? You got Gunnar Henderson, you got Mountcastle, Santander, right? Adley. Talk to me. They are facing a decent real-life pitcher, Savali. We didn't have a ton of interest in him at 7,200 here. He is a decent real-life pitcher, but I do think this is a pretty good game on both sides in terms of bats. Talk to me here, the Rays and Baltimore.
Yeah, no interest for me when it comes to the Rays. Someone in the chat said it a minute ago that they're terrible, and I definitely agree with that. Like I said, I like Albert Suarez if I knew he was going 6 innings. So definitely no Rays for me. And then, these Orioles, love these Orioles tonight. Just looking at O'Hearn would be my favorite. Mullins, Kowser, Henderson, and Mateo in that order. So I think they're a full 5-man stack tonight. I saw that Orioles lineup just came out. Let me make sure Mateo's in there. But if Mateo's in there,
he's batting ninth. Yeah, he's batting ninth.
He's batting ninth. Yeah, I love him down there. Love Mullins. Yeah, I see it now. I mean, that 6, 7, 9. Love that. But O'Hearn would be my favorite batting in the 3-hole. Yeah, give me some Orioles tonight. Really like them tonight to take care of Aaron Savali.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I like Gunnar a lot. I like Adley a lot. I like O'Hearn a lot. And then I'm with you. I think Urias is fine down there. Mateo, pretty much 1 through 9 are in play for me for the Orioles side here. Think you could play a Brandon Lowe or Brandon Lau, however you pronounce it here, but not a ton of interest in the Rays for me. The stack is more on the Orioles side. I think they come in pretty low owned in general. At least from what I'm seeing, they're pretty down the list outside of a couple offenses. I mean, none of these teams are really going to get a lot of ownership at all. So anytime you get a lineup that will steal bases and hit home runs, I'm definitely going to have interest in tournaments. So I like these Orioles a decent amount. I don't think really anybody plays them. Gunnar Henderson, my favorite bat, but shortstop is loaded here. Ryan O'Hearn is kind of where I'm starting, and then obviously stack around those guys. Let's jump to the next game here. It's Pittsburgh and it's Toronto here. And another day ended in a Y for our hater in the chat that's watching, probably on his 16th burner account here until we find him and ban that one out of here too. But talk to me about these Blue Jays. Everybody wants to play these Blue Jays. You have a more interest in Bailey Falter, it sounds like. From an ownership standpoint, Toronto is definitely going to get a decent amount of ownership about Bailey Falter. Really, ownership doesn't matter on a 13-game slate. I just don't love playing these Blue Jays. I'm not going to play these Blue Jays here tonight. So this game is pretty much a cross-off game for me and bats, but Blue Jays are implied to score right around 5 runs. So I do think they get played a decent amount here tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't full stack the Blue Jays. I would do a one-off. Davis Schneider batting leadoff is obviously a good play. And I really like Ernie Clement tonight. I wish obviously he wasn't batting all the way down there in the 8-hole. But, if you need a bargain basement, $2,700 player, Ernie Clement, I think, is a great one-off play tonight against Falter. And then on the flip side, I like the 3-4 combo. Connor Joe, O'Neal Cruz. I like those guys as a mini as well against Jose Barrios. Really like O'Neal Cruz. I like him better than Joe, but I like both of those as a mini tonight.
Yeah, I don't think Nick Gonzalez is a terrible play. He's been known to hit for some power there. Second base is a pretty weak position overall, so I don't hate him. Like the call out with O'Neal Cruz, it's pretty much a home run or a walk and a stolen base. If not, you're looking at probably a bunch of strikeouts. He has a 42% strikeout rate on the season against right-handed pitching on the road. So definitely incredible talent there. Does have some bumps and bruises still yet early in his career there. 4,500. I like a ton of shortstops, a little bit more price than him here tonight. So I don't know if I can get to him personally, just because I love the shortstop position. We're going to talk about them coming up here in a little bit. I think they're fine, but realistically, this game for myself personally is a cross-off spot. I put the Orioles ahead of the Blue Jays in terms of stacking. I like the Orioles a lot more than the Blue Jays here. So for me, this game is a cross-off in terms of bats. Let's jump to the next one here. It's the D-backs and it's the Mets. Severino on the hill, Jordan Montgomery. I think Jordan Montgomery comes back to life a little bit here. But looking at the numbers for the Mets at home against left-handed pitching, they have been very, very good at home against left-handed pitching. A 273 team ISO and just a 21% strikeout rate as a whole. Might be circling back a little bit and backtracking on my words a little bit about Jordan Montgomery here, because looking at these numbers, man, it is pretty limited sample size, but a lot of these guys, Nemo has 30-plus plate appearances, Pete Alonso, Lindor, all approaching 30 plate appearances, all have ISOs over 250 or higher. So these Mets, I think, might be a little bit sneaky here. It's going to depend on what Montgomery we see here, Montgomery of the past or the current form Montgomery here. So I think this is a pretty interesting game. Break this one down, because Severino is going to get a lot of ownership on the Mets side, and the Mets hitters aren't going to get any ownership here. Talk to me. It is the Arizona D-backs at the end of the day. Ton of power, ton of stolen bases throughout the lineup. So I think this is a pretty interesting game in terms of tournaments here.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. Hopefully we get the 12% strikeout versus right-handed hitter Jordan Montgomery, because ton of interest tonight in 2, 4, and 6. Let's go. Pete Alonso, JD Martinez, Mark Vientos, 2, 4, 6. Really like that. If you wanted to go a mini, if you wanted to get Marte and Bader in there, don't hate that as well. But I think these Mets squarely in play. Hopefully no one's throwing a glove into the stands. Hopefully they could get that on the tracks, because it's always better when the Mets have a good baseball team. But yeah, really, Vientos would be my favorite of the bunch if you were going to one-off him. And he's got a decent little price over there. So yeah, give me 2, 4, and 6 for these Mets. Really like them tonight. Definitely no D-backs for me. I'll be crossing them off.
Yeah, no, I think Vientos is a great play there at 3,400 third base. JD Martinez I like a lot too. Nemo, Alonso, I mean, pretty much 1 through 6 are in play for me. And then even Thomas Nido down there at the catcher position, I think is an interesting play. He's hit for a ton of power this season at home. Does struggle a little bit with strikeouts, but overall, I mean, there's a lot of power in this Mets lineup. Not one of my favorite stacks, but they're probably up the board a little bit in terms of under-owned, kind of sneaky stacks here tonight for me. So I have a little bit of interest. And then on the D-back side, I can't play the D-backs here. I just don't have a ton of interest in Severino at his projected ownership as well, when I like guys cheaper and a little bit more expensive. So that's kind of the reason in there. Not a situation where I'm going to be stacking up the D-backs to go against it or anything like that. Next game on the slate here, we have the Red Sox at home in Fenway here against Kenta Maeda and his ton of hard hits and very low strikeout rate overall. I mean, I like these Red Sox quite a bit here tonight. I think you might as well. And then I think you have a little bit of interest as well, which definitely isn't going to be my cup of tea. But talk to me on your beloved interest for these Detroit Tigers here that you talked to me about pre-show here, because I'm not quite seeing what you're seeing. But, hey, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, man, I was just looking at it, and we just got the lineup, so I'm getting excited. I got my guy Winsell Perez. He's batting leadoff tonight. We have Riley Green batting second, which I love. And then we have Matt Vierling batting third, which is great news to me. I was hoping we would get Kerry Carpenter in there, but I don't see him. But, man, that 1, 2, and 3 for those Tigers, they are going to be unowned. They all look very nice. Give me some Perez. Give me some Green. Give me some Vierling. My favorite of that bunch would be Vierling, followed by Perez and Green. But, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Now, you better get on. You better get you a little mini of that 1, 2, 3. Get you a little stack against Hawk on team 2. You'll be off to the races. And then, man, oh, man, Kenta Maeda. It's not 2015 anymore. This guy cannot pitch in the bigs. Devers, Duran, Wong. Let's go, baby. We're taking some of those over the wall. Wong's going over the monster. Maeda's done. This game's going over the posted total. You're going to see some runs tonight in Beantown if you're going to that game.
Yeah, and it's not going to be from the team from Hoop and J. Rice's neck of the woods. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, if I were to play anyone from the Tigers, it would be the lefties because he does struggle. Tanner Houck does struggle striking out lefties. But outside of that, I mean, the dude has a 60% ground ball rate to both sides of the plate, just a 15% fly ball rate. Pretty hard to hit home runs when the ball's on the ground, I'll tell you that. And he strikes out 33% of right-handed hitters. So you can go up and play all those righties you want. I hope they load the righties. There's 6 projected right now in the lineup. So, I mean, you can have your Matt Vierlings. You can have your Cannas, your Gio Urshela's. You can have those guys. I'll take Javier Baez. He's good for at least 3 strikeouts in that lineup there. So I'm definitely not on team Detroit Tigers here, but what team I am on is the Red Sox here at home. Absolutely love everyone in this lineup against Kent Maeda. I think he's overstayed his stay here in the major leagues right now. He needs to hang it up here. I think he gets shelled tonight. Jarren Duran, Weiler Abreu, Devers, those 1, 2, 3. I absolutely love all 3 of them. Connor Wong, I like him. Dom Smith, I mean, you name it. Rob Refschneider is cheap in there. A little bit of pinch hit concern there, but I think he's pretty solid overall if he's starting in there against the righty, so he should be good. They got cheap guys at the back half, expensive guys at the top, makes a nice, easy stack. Give me all these Red Sox here tonight. Really like them a lot. And like I said, ownership outside of maybe the Dodgers really isn't going to matter too much. And it's a 13-game slate, so enough teams between the Dodgers, Texas, and Boston. I think ownership gets spread out enough that really ownership you can kind of throw out the window in terms of all 3 of those stacks. So I like the Red Sox quite a bit. Long-winded answer of saying 1 through 9 firmly play for me. The Red Sox, no Tigers interest for me, so we do differ there.
Not even Riley Green. You're a Riley Green guy. Come on now, you know you like Riley Green.
Yeah, but I'm not paying $5,500 for Riley Green when Corey Seager's the same price and the dude's hit 75 home runs in the last 3 games. So I'm not playing. I know it's different positions here, but I mean Riley Green's fine, but it's just I'd rather pick on other pitchers than Tanner Houck and his significant ground ball rate. And just, I mean, he just goes out there and mows down. So I'm definitely on team no Tigers camp, but hey, we'll see. We'll see if I can keep my undefeated streak alive on this, on these Monday and Friday shows against Hamwich here. It's been working pretty good overall for me so far. Let's jump to the next game here. This is my probably favorite stack on the board here. It's not the greatest hitters park here, but overall, we just don't have a ton of great hitting parks and weather in general on this slate. So I'm just going to put my test into Corey Seager and the rest of this Texas Rangers offense. I love all these Rangers here tonight. Really like these lefties a ton. Sixto Sanchez has been absolutely horrendous against lefties here and now gets a flaming, scorching hot Corey Seager. And a couple other lefties to go with him. Tavares should be in there. Nate Lowe should be in there. Jankowski at just 2,400. Another lefty should be in there. Josh Smith should be in there. Give me all these lefties first for Texas. Build around them with guys like Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia. I absolutely love Texas here tonight. And I actually like these Marlins a lot as well. I wrote them up as a sneaky stack. In the slate plan, I'm not going to game stack this game on a 13-game slate, but I think we see fireworks and home runs galore here in this game despite the bad park overall. Marlins super cheap to stack up. Really like some of these cheap guys. Rivero, Ada Lopez, 2 very cheapies there, 2,100, 2,800 in general. Like both sides of this game a ton. Probably my favorite game on the entire slate from offense perspective on both sides here.
Yeah, we have the much-awaited Jose Urena revenge game. Former Marlins great coming back home to Miami. I can see the headlines on ESPN.com right now. Urena going to go into the fish tank in his old stomping grounds. But the only one for me would be a Corey Seager one-off. He might hit home run number 76 in his last 4 games tonight. He's scorching hot. So give me some Seager as a one-off. And then it's going to be Jesus Sanchez and Otto Lopez for me, possibly Jazz. I don't know if that lineup's come out yet or not, but yeah, definitely some Jesus Sanchez, assuming he's in there. Give me some Otto. Oh, it is out. So Jesus is back in cleanup. Otto Lopez, I don't like him down there in the eight spot, but yeah, Jesus Sanchez, one off for me would be the extent of it, and then Corey Seager would be the only one I have interest in on the Ranger side.
All right. Well, we differ again there. I'm going to attack a guy that has a 50+% hard hit rate, especially to lefties, and sub 10% strikeout rate. I mean, I think Hamwich would go up there and at least put the bat on the ball against this guy up there. And he's drinking energy drinks and wearing a collared T-shirt on a Friday afternoon here, sitting in his office. So I don't know. We'll see. Struggles a ton with control as well to lefties. I mean, 15+% walk rate over the last month against lefties too. I mean, give me all the lefties here. Absolutely love all the lefties here. And then you got two great righties, Marcus Semien, just hard to strike out in general, puts the ball in play, and then Adolis Garcia, obviously a ton of power there. So really like that. I like your call on Jesus Sanchez. I'm with you there. For all the BVP guys in the chat, I know we always get some comments on that. My guy Emmanuel Rivera is the BVP king of this slate. He's 3 for 7 against the arena with 3 home runs and just 1 strikeout. So all you guys out there, go to the ticket window and start betting, slamming him on there, and just hashtag BVP all over Twitter. Get people riled up there because they really like when you bring up batter versus pitcher stats. But hey, he's 2,100 with some power, and he's got good numbers overall at home this season. Pretty low strikeout rate, decent power. I'm a little bit different than you. I do have interest in Otto Lopez even down in the 8th spot because he fills a pretty weak second base position overall. So position eligibility does matter on DraftKings. So give me some Otto Lopez, give me some Rivera, give me some Sanchez in there, Jazz Chisholm. I actually like these Marlins. I like both sides of this game quite a bit. So we differ a little bit there as well. This next game is a game that's on the Guardians side. I think they're going to get a lot of ownership despite coming out of Coors Field, because when you leave Coors Field, probably one of the next best thing is to face Patrick Corbin and company here. So talk to me in this game. The Nationals, Lane Thomas is scorching right now. CJ Abrams cooled off last game, but he's been on a tear as well. Jesse Winker, Keibert Ruiz, some of these guys have been hitting the baseball pretty well. Nick Senzel has been decent as well. He's pretty cheap. They're going against Tanner Beebe here, who our guy in the chat talking about how bad Beebe's been at home this season. I'm not putting a ton of emphasis on that. I don't have a lot of interest outside of a Lane Thomas one-off just due to I like hot streaks in baseball, and he's scorching right now, stealing bases, hitting home runs. And then on these Guardians side, I'm not going to go to these Guardians. I never play a team leaving Coors Field despite Patrick Corbin here. Seems like recently, the last year and a half, anytime I stacked against Patrick Corbin, it hasn't worked out too good. I haven't played these Indians or Guardians, whatever you want to call them, very often. So I'm underweight on this game in general, but I think you might be different here. Talk to me, Cleveland and Washington here.
Yeah, this it's National Patrick Corbin Day. It used to be an old holiday, and now they come out of Coors. They get this cat to go up against who, I actually played him last Sunday against the Chalky Mariners, and I mean, if it wasn't for Julio Rodriguez going for a 50 burger against them, it wouldn't have been that terrible of a day. But whatever they say, the only Nat that I would have interest in their lineup side out would be Luis Garcia at second base, $4,100. But man, these Guardians, I don't see how they're not going to garner ownership. I mean, they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. They just beat up the Angels and the Rockies. Now they're coming back home to take on Patrick Corbin. Give me some Rich Homie Kwan batting leadoff. Ty Freeman looks good. David Fry would be my favorite one, and then obviously J-Ram and Naylor. I think those full stacks are going to be very popular tonight. 1 through 5 certainly in play. You have Jimenez batting 6th, which I think he would be in play, but it's going to be tough to get off of those Guardians over a 4.5 run total. I mean, I love them tonight. Love Luis Garcia as a one-off 4 against the chalky Tanner Bibby.
Yeah, I would. I'm just pulling up the stolen bases. Tyler Freeman, J-Ram, and Jimenez, and Rochio. Let me just see if all 3 of those guys are in there. Yeah, Freeman's batting 2nd. Ramirez is batting 3rd. Jimenez is batting 6th, and then Rochio's batting 9th. All those guys have 7+ stolen bases on the season. Obviously, we know Patrick Corbin's one of the best guys to run on in terms of stolen bases. So I like some stolen bases there. If you got some stolen base props that allow you to do same game parlays in terms of stolen bases, I don't hate that. But from a stack perspective, I mean, I don't love it a ton. I like other offenses more. They are going to garner a decent amount of ownership. It's just I never really play a team coming out of Coors Field here. It could bite me here against Patrick Corbin, but I like Texas a ton. I like the Dodgers a ton. I like some of these other offenses a lot that I already talked about and we're going to talk about here. So outside of a J-Ram or a mini stack of some of these stolen base guys, I'm going to be a little bit lower on this game. So that is definitely a different take there than you gave, but hey, that's fine. It's a 13-game slate. We can't agree on everything. So for me, this game, I'm going to be a little bit under on overall. And then I like Tanner Beebe enough that I'm not going to pick on him outside of, like I said, Lane Thomas, one-off in non-Tanner Beebe lineups. Let's jump to this next game. I have a ton of interest in terms of offense, and this team has just not been good as of late. I wrote it up in the slate plan over here at SHIPIT Nation. I'd rather be early on this offense than late when the field adjusts. I think these Braves get it back on track here at home against a lefty here. JP Sears, I've played my fair share of JP Sears amongst early this season and a lot last season here. I think this is a spot where the Braves actually go crazy here tonight. I think we see the ball fly over the park in Truist here tonight. I think the Braves come out in a big way. One of my favorite offenses on the slate. I love Atlanta here tonight. And then I think some of these Athletics are fine against Lopez. I think he regresses enough here, but I think you're going to be different there. You had a little bit more interest in terms of Lopez, in terms of pitching. I think he's fine. But I also think if you need to go there, you could grab some of these Athletics. Definitely like other spots more. But definitely a ton of interest for me in Atlanta bats here tonight. Are you with me?
Yeah, let's start on the A side. I do like Lopez a little bit. I would do a one-off in J.J. Bleday. Or my favorite Athletic is going to be Kyle McCann. He's going to be unowned at $3,200 on DraftKings. Fills a catcher position. There's no Langeliers. I heard you mention Langeliers earlier. But give me some Kyle McCann. Really like him tonight as a one-off for these Athletics. And, yeah, let's flip over to the Braves. I'm with you tonight. I mean, I got an over a 5 implied run total. Give me 3, 4, 5. Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson, Adam Duvall. Really like those three tonight. I think you go chip in with Ozzie, chip in with Arcia. I wish TDA was in the lineup, but he's not. So, yeah, give me 3, 4, 5 tonight for those Bravos.
Yeah, I love these Braves. I love Ozzie. I love Austin Riley. Anytime you get Austin Riley at lower ownership against the lefty, I love that. I get it. He's been pretty bad, especially against lefties over the last month. But, again, I want to be early on this team. I really like Duvall a ton. I like Ozuna a ton. Arcia historically has hit lefties decent amongst this season and last season. Sean Murphy as a nice value bat. Nobody's going to play Sean Murphy down there in the 8 spot here tonight. I think he's a great value play. And then my boy, Jared Kelenic, core report last night. He was sub 10% owned. Dropped a nice little top 10 spot on the slate there. I think you can go right back to the well there. I get it. It is lefty-lefty, but he can hit lefties all right, and he will steal bases as well. Same thing with Michael Harris there. So I like all 9 hitters in this Braves lineup. Really like the top half a lot more than the back half. Again, ownership's going to spread out enough. Don't think you need to really worry about it too much. So love me some Braves here tonight. And then on the other side, Brent Rooker, I think, is solid. Shea Langeliers is solid. J.J. Bleday, like you said, is solid. It's just I don't think Lopez, I think he's starting to regress a little bit here. Looking at the last 30-day numbers, struggles with strikeouts to lefties, does limit power. And overall, he's just got hard hits to lefties and some fly ball concerns there. So maybe some lefties, but realistically, I like other spots more, like the Braves a ton here tonight. Let's jump to the next game here. It's the White Sox and it's the Brewers. We both had a lot of interest in Tobias Myers here. These Brewers are hitting the baseball pretty well, but they are priced up here. They're facing Mr. Fetty Wap and company here at home. Sub 20% strikeout rate, gets barreled a little bit. We didn't really touch on Fetty at 8,100. I think he's overpriced for the matchup here. I think the Brewers are interesting here, but I just don't like paying these salaries for some of these guys. Maybe you're different. The 2 through 4, kind of the heart of that lineup, has really good numbers at home this season against right-handed pitching. Talk to me. Do you have any interest in any of these Brewers? And then no interest for me in any White Sox, but maybe you see something different here.
Yeah, this game's a cross-off for me. I like Myers a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't play anybody on this White Sox teams. They're horrendous. And then the Brewers, I cored them on Wednesday night. They got no hit, almost damn near no hit. Then they go up against one of the best pitchers in Monaga last night and put up a 10 spot. Hey, that's just the way it was going this week. And so I like the Brewers a little bit, but I think there's other offenses. I wouldn't pick on Fetty Wap just because I think there's worse pitchers that we can pick on tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just think for the Brewers price tags, I think I like other offenses more. I mean, William Contreras is 5,500. Yelich is over 5K. Adames is 4,500. You got the best play on the slate, $1,000 more expensive than him. In Corey Seager at the same position. Jake Bauers is expensive. Joey Ortiz would probably be the only guy that I have interest in if he makes that lineup at third base at 3,500. He's just been very low strikeouts. Has a ton of power, will steal some bases. So Joey Ortiz is probably my favorite play from this game. Outside of that, I'm not going to stack either of these teams up here. Let's head out to Houston on this next game. We got Blanca on the hill, most expensive pitcher on the slate. Pablo Lopez, which we didn't touch up on a ton here, but facing a team that just doesn't strike out in the Astros and hits for a lot of power with guys on the back of Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez. I think this game is decent for some lower-owned offenses. My interest is definitely on the Twins side because I don't think anybody plays them when they see Ronald Blanco and his game logs and being the most expensive pitcher on the slate. But I do like some of these Twins as a contrarian mini stack in tournaments. Max Kepler, Ryan Jeffers, Correa, Trevor Larnach, some of these guys here. Byron Buxton, if he figures it out there. So I have a little bit of interest in these Twins here against the Astros. Do you have any interest in this game here?
Yeah, I think this game's an exciting game to stack. And let's start with the Twins. Blanco, highest priced pitcher on DK, which is shocking to me, but I'm with you. Jeffers and Correa would be 1-2 for me. And then on the flip side, I mean, Pablo Lopez, I don't know what happened to Pablo Lopez. 3 straight games of sub-10 DraftKings points, just getting beaten around the yard pretty good. Now he's going to take on an Astros team that's been one of the best teams, if not the best team against right-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks at home. Kyle Tucker looks good. Singleton looks good. You got my guy Jake Myers batting, I think, 5th or 6th tonight. I like him. I like Altuve. Fire up these Astros. I think these Astros are squarely in play tonight. I think you see these Astros on the winner because they're going to put up about 8 runs and no one's going to play them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the lefties a lot from the Houston side. You can obviously stack around them. In terms of weather here, I'm seeing it pretty decent. Yeah. I was just seeing something. What I was looking at. Yeah, my bad. But in terms of this game, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, Singleton are my 3 favorite bats on from this game. Jake Myers, like you said, right? Cheap bat, 3,200, lots of power there. Singleton at 3,600, already said him. I think this game is definitely got potential here to be under the radar pop for some home runs here. We've played a lot of teams in Houston this season, right? We've seen a lot of runs there. We've played Houston a lot this season here, and Pablo Lopez struggled against lefties a lot over the last month. Looking at the numbers on Lopez, tons of power over the last month allowed. Last 30 days, he's allowing 224 ISO to left-handed bats and a fly ball rate north of 32%. So that's kind of where I'm starting with the lefties and then building around them. So have interest in both sides. I already kind of broke down the Twin side and then the Astros there. Couple games left on this slate. The next game we're going out to probably the best hitting park on the slate, but in terms of weather, I did want to pull it up. I think this game is the only one with weather concerns on the slate. Roth has it tagged as yellow-orange over there. So there is some weather concerns here. That's kind of why I just don't have a ton of interest in Dylan Cease. Didn't really want to deal with weather on a 13-game slate here. And then that's why I don't have a lot of interest in Waka like you did as well here. If this game were to play and be fine, I think these Royals would be kind of interesting. I get it. Dylan Cease is a big strikeout arm, but these Royals are just a different team at home, like I mentioned already. Any interest in bats in this game? I think the bats are safer than the pitchers for sure. but definitely do have to monitor the weather leading up to lock in this one. It is the only game on the slate with weather concerns here.
Yeah, I'm out on this game. I mean, I like the pitchers enough that I think I'm gonna skip all the bats. I mean, Bobby Witt, he's amazing, obviously, but Bobby Witt for me, but probably won't get there. Tatis, but yeah, I'm passing on this game, Nate.
Yeah, so I just did refresh it. He updated it to yellow. It says some lingering light rain. I think that they play through a few early sprinkles. So I don't mind some of these Royals. Bobby Witt, Perez, Vinny P, and then Melendez would kind of be the four that I have a lot of interest in. Not going to full 5-man stack against Dylan Cease. I just think there's better pitchers that attack on the slate that we already talked about, a lot of them, and we're going to talk about when we get to the Dodgers here, and then even another team that kind of hurts me to stay a little bit just due to the ballpark, but we're going to talk about them there. So interest is on the Royals side. I don't know if I have a soft spot or a sweet spot for the Royals. They've won me a lot of money, so it's just I can never say no to them kind of thing. But I do have some interest in the Royals. On the Padres side, no interest in the Padres offense here tonight, despite not having a lot of interest in Michael Walker like you did. 3 games, left on the slate here. The next one is a game where I don't have any interest in bats, but talk to me. If I were to go any side of this game, it would be the Angels here in Seattle against Brian Wu. But overall, pretty gross game in terms of bats on both sides here for me personally.
Yep, cross-off game for me. One-off potential for me, Dominic Canzone or Mitch Haniger, and that would be the extent of it. The only one-off, that would just be get some leverage off of Soriano, a little late-night hammer, late-night double leverage action.
Yeah, Josh Rojas, I think, or Ty France, just both at they're looking at their numbers and their salaries. Ty France has pretty good numbers at home against right-handed pitching. So does Josh Rojas. They're $3K and $3,800 respectively. Rojas, you can play at second base and third base, which is nice. So outside of that, in non-Soriano lineups, but I might in my 3 teams tonight, I might have 100% Soriano. To be honest, I'm just going to. The more I look at this, it's just the more I just want to kind of just click the lock button on Soriano there. But, hey, definitely there's no lock in baseball. I'm just taking my chances here tonight. So no bats for me in this one. 2 games left, and this is probably the spot that everybody's going to go to for bats in retrospect to the remainder of the slate here. It's Friday night, but not only that, it's Friday night Dodgers at home here against Dakota Hudson, who – I think has also overstayed his stay here in the major leagues here. Talk to me. Late night hammer, Dodgers at home against Dakota Hudson and his absolutely blood red numbers over the last month. He is a ground ball rate pitcher, so it does have a little concern. I just don't like stacking against ground ball pitchers too much. But when you look at the lineup, 7 of the 9 hitters have a ton of fly balls, 25% rate or higher in terms of fly ball guys. So kind of counteracts the ground ball rate there from Hudson. But if there was a spot to be a little bit worried, it would be against a ground ball pitcher here. I don't think it matters for me. I'm throwing it out the window. But talk to me here. The Dodgers at home against Dakota Hudson.
Yeah, you get a pristine matchup. Obviously, Dakota Hudson, the journeyman now, pitched decent this year, I guess, if you want to say that. You said it doesn't give up a ton of fly balls, especially on his main pitch, the slider. Sub 10% fly ball rate. But when you have the likes of Shohei, Mookie, Tio, who's had a great year batting against those guys, the righties are certainly in place. So give me some Mookie, give me some Tio, give me some Pages. Would be my 3 favorite. Assuming that they're in the lineup. And then on the flip side, Shohei Ohtani and Freddie. The thing we always talk about it, right, is it's tough to 5-man stack this Dodgers team. Or 4-man stack them if you're on FanDuel and get good quality pitching. So you got to get some of those guys down there towards the lower end. And that's why I have interest in Pages. That's why I have interest in Hernandez. Hernandez is 5'1", Pages 3'7". Those are guys that are going to be in there, for 9 innings, right? Hayward is likely to get pitch hit for. Lux is pitch hit risk. Kiki Hernandez pitch hit risk. So give me some Pages, give me some Hernandez, and sprinkle in those big bats at the top. Definitely like the Dodgers. And then Walker Buehler's SP1 for me, so I won't be getting any Rockies in my lineup tonight.
Yeah, no Rockies for me. Page actually leads this team in fly ball rates. Him and Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will Smith, those four have 35% or higher on the season so far. So I really like those. Kiki Hernandez is up there north of 30%. Hayward's actually north of 30%, but he is a pinch hit concern. And then obviously Ohtani. If Lux is in there, I don't have a lot of interest in all that. At Gavin Lux, I think he probably, if he does make the lineup, hits in the middle of the lineup and fills a weak second base position. So I think he garners a ton of ownership. That's one way to be a little bit different in terms of your Dodger stacks, I think. And then I like your call on Teo Hernandez. If Miguel Rojas is in there, I think Miguel Rojas is great at 3,300, puts the ball in play, doesn't really strike out, fills a weak second base and shortstop position. You can play him at dual position. So yeah, Dodgers for me, not much more to say. 1 through 9 firmly in play. My least favorite bat, if he does crack that lineup, would be Gavin Lux. But the rest of them, I think I have a ton of interest in. And then I'm with you, Walker Buehler, one of my favorite pitches on the entire slate, much like everybody else. So no Rockies interest for me. Just don't want to stack a team that the back half of the lineup is all 28% or higher in terms of strikeouts. Let's jump to the last game of the slate. Probably the worst hitting park on the slate here, but it's the Yankees, man, the red hot Yankees. And I don't really think Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Stanton really care what baseball park they're hitting in. They're up there to hit the ball over the fence, and Judge can hit it out of anywhere, I think. So there's not any spot to play Aaron Judge and Juan Soto at virtually no ownership when you got the bats of, right, obviously the Braves. Obviously the Dodgers have high priced outfielders that people are going to play. Texas, the Red Sox. I just don't see how anybody can play these Yankees here. Guaranteed 19 at bats. Despite the bad park, Jordan Hicks is a solid real life pitcher, but struggles with strikeouts overall. I think Juan Soto, Judge, Stanton, virtually no ownership there. DJ LeMahieu. I don't hate some of these Yankees. I don't think I'm going to 5-man stack just because I don't like playing batters a lot in this park. But in terms of differentiation mini stack, I think this is pretty intriguing for the Yankees as a low-owned stack here overall.
Yep, we've seen the Dodgers, we've seen the Phillies, we've seen all the good offenses go to this park, and you just don't go there and are on the winner at the end of the night. I'm going to continue to play it that way. Judge, Soto, obviously great, but no bats for me in this game, no pitchers for me in this game. Stroman just doesn't strike out enough people. Hicks, doesn't strike out enough people, especially, and I wouldn't pick on this Yankees team. But hey, I'm going to bet on this part, Nades, that it's not going to beat me for I feel like it hadn't beat me all year. So I'm going to go against it and feel like I can get better offenses elsewhere.
Hey, I don't blame you. Definitely not going to full stack here, but like I said, Aaron Judge, Hicks struggles a decent bit with right-handed power over the last month, and Aaron Judge is locked in at the plate right now. So don't hate him. Aaron Judge and his 418 ISO on the road this season. Like I said, it doesn't matter the ballpark he's in. He can hit it out of anywhere. And then Stanton right there behind him. Juan Soto is always a solid option as well. Outside of those three guys, not a ton of interest here. And then no Giants for me against Stroman. So that's all 13 games. Any closing remarks before you give your home run calls of the evening here?
Yeah, nothing else. Yeah. We talked a long time, took about an hour, a lot of games to go through. So I said it earlier, ownership's going to be spread. I think we're on a good track to get some of these winners tonight. Hopefully we see some of those SHIPIT Nation logos at the top. Would be great to see.
Yeah. Hopefully you do guys have the SHIPIT Nation logos over there. I heard it gives you a little bit boost in terms of your chances to ship a tournament as well. Don't quote me on that, but that's just the rumor in the Discord. That's the rumor on the streets that we've been told. Hamwich, throw it over to you. Last Friday we went 4 for 4. Nice little payday. I think you would have been able to take this whole week off of work and not even worried about it. You could have called in sick all week because that would have been a nice little payday. I know you cashed in on your 2 home run calls. Little hurt that you didn't put enough faith in me to add my home run calls there. That hey, didn't matter how late they got there. They got there. It took the 6th and the 8th inning for Mr. Joe Adell and Logan O'Hoppe to get there, but they did it. We went 4 for 4. Let's try and run it back this week. Throw it over to you, man. Who are your home run calls of the evening?
It's tough because I got 3, but I'm only going to give out 2. I don't want I don't want to give out too many. I'm going to go with my number one. It's going to be down in the ATL. He's batting, I think, 5th tonight, but it's Mr. Duvall, Adam Duvall. My home run call today, I think he takes one over the wall. Number 2 for me would be going up against the guy that can't pitch anymore. Rafael Devers, I think, goes deep to right field. Give me a little Rafael Devers. Give me a little Adam Duvall to both hit a home run tonight.
All right. Well, those are great calls. I'm on board with you there in terms of Duvall. Devers is always a great guy to pick. I'm going to give 2 as well for the people. I'm going to the freebie of all freebies here. He's hitting his 97th home run in the last 4 days. I actually rechecked the numbers. It's Mr. Corey Seager. At shortstop position, 5,500 is absolutely criminal. Sixto Sanchez can't strike any lefties out, gets hit hard, big time by lefty bats. One of the hottest hitters in baseball, if not the hottest hitter. Corey Seager hitting second here tonight. I just saw that lineup come out. And he's in that 2 spot where he belongs. He's going to keep the train rolling. And then I'm going to go to a low-owned call here. Little scary call overall, but another value bat, a little value bat, 3,400 for the Mets. I talked about the Mets picking on Jordan Montgomery here. They've been great against left-handed pitching at home. Montgomery has not been great this season. He has been great last season. I'm going to hope that trend continues here, at least for my guy, Mark Vientos here, 3,400, third base. I think they both go over the wall. You can probably get pretty good odds on Vientos there. Parlay it together. Boost your odds a little bit there. Hopefully we run it back here tonight and at least get a couple of the 4 to go over the wall here. Hamwich, any closing remarks?
No, that'll do it. Good luck at your contest. Hopefully we see you at the top of the leaderboards. We'll be back Monday to talk about how we went 4 for 4 again. Hopefully that'd be fun if we could do that.
Yeah, hopefully if we go 4 for 4. But, hey, I'm just hoping my core does half as good as last night, scoring up 114 DraftKings points last night. It's pretty hard to lose money if you played that core last night. Looking to run it back here tonight. If you guys are not a member yet, SHIPITNation.com. Join now. MLB-only packages available for month. A little over $1 a day when you do it out. Easy to upgrade to All Access Pass 2 when NFL rolls around. We get it. It's the heart of the summer. Not a lot going on outside of PGA. MMA, which, hey, there's a huge card. Our guys Marley and Tito already broke down the MMA card for tomorrow right here on this YouTube channel. If you're interested in MMA, go check that out. If not, hopefully see you back on Monday. Hope to see those Shipping Nation logos at the top. Hope you all have an amazing weekend. Stay safe. Have fun. Hopefully you have extra cheese in your pocket when we're back here on Monday. For Hamwich, I'm Nadesify. Good luck tonight. We'll see you guys next time.